Good morning, my dear students. Let's begin our history class. In continuation of my third video, NCRT Themes in World History, chapter number 3 An Empire Across the Three Continents. And I'll begin with the topic Social Hierarchy means division of the social composition in Rome. The social structure of the empire was as follows. According to the historian uh, Tacitus, he described the society in early empire as senators, which means this literally means fathers, then leading member of Coschian classes, that is also known as the knights or the horsemen, and then the respectable section of people which is known as middle class, then lower class, and finally the slave. So this division is given by the historian Tacitus. Then in the early 3rd century, when the Senate numbered roughly 1,000, approximately half of all senators still came from Italian family. By the late empire, the senator and Christian had merged into a unified and expanded aristocracy. The middle class now consisted of the considerable mass of persons connected with imperial service in the bureaucracy and army, but also the more prosperous merchant and farmer, of whom there were many in the eastern provinces. Below then were the vast mass of lower classes known collectively Oshimilers, literally lower. The meaning of means lower. They comprised a rural labor, or we also known them as humiliers. In NCRT book, the lower category people is termed as humiliers. So these people are the lower category. They comprise the rural labor force, of which many were permanently employed on the large estates, workers in industrial and mining establishment, migrant workers who supplied much of the labor for the grain and olive harvest, and for the building industry, self-employed artisan, and uh, all other thousands of slave. These all artisan, it was said that they were better fed than wager labor. A large mass of casual laborers, especially in the big city, and the course of many thousands of slaves, that they were still found all over the Western Empire in particular. One writer of the early 5th century, the historian Olympidorus, who was also an ambassador, tell us the aristocracy based in the city of Rome drew annual income of up to 4,000 pound of gold from their estate, not counting the produce they consumed directly. So they are very wealthy. The late Roman bureaucracy, both the higher and middle politicians, was a comparatively rich group because it drew the bulk of its salary in gold and invested much of this is in buying an asset like land. There was, of course, also a great deal of corruption, especially in judicial system and in the administration of military supply. The exhaustion of the higher bureaucracy and the greed of provincial governors were proverbial, but government investment repeatedly to curb these forms of corruption. We only know about them in the first place because of the law that tried to put an end to them, and because historians and other members of intelligentsia denounce such practices. This element of criticism is a remarkable feature of classical world. The Roman state was a authorized authoritarian regime. In this word, dissent was rarely tolerated, and government usually responded to the protests with violence, especially in the city of East, where people were often fearless in making fun of emperors. Yet a strong tradition of Roman law had emerged by the 4th century. cultural transformation or late antiquity. When we talk about late antiquity, we are going to see the cultural transformation from the beginning to decline. We shall conclude this chapter by looking the cultural transformation or tradition, religion, culture or classical world, both Greek and Roman, had been polytheist. So, what we known about cultural transformation? First, we will see what does cultural transformation is known as, or uh, the late antiquity is the term now used to describe the final fascinating period in the evolution and breakup of Roman Empire, and refers broadly the 4th to 7th century. The traditions, religion, culture of the classical world, both Greek and Roman, had been polytheist. That is, it involved a multiplicity of cults that included both Roman, Italian gods like Jupiter, Juno, Minerva, Mars, as well as numerous Greek and Eastern deities worshipped in thousands of temples, shrines, and sanctuaries throughout the empire. So, this is a religious thing associated with Roman Empire. At the cultural level, the period saw momentous development in religious life with the emperor Constantine made Christianity as the official religion. These all things are important for one mark question. All right. So, who made the Christianity as an official religion? The Emperor Constantine. Then, over expansion had led um diocletian to cut back by abandoning territories with little strategic or economic value. Diocletian also fortified the frontiers, recognized provincial boundaries, and separated civilian from military functions, granted greater autonomy to the military commander so that they become more powerful. Means the boundaries were separated, and the power of the civilian and military divided so that military became more and more powerful. Monetary system of the late empire broke with the silver based currency of the first 3 centuries because the Spain or Spanish silver mines were exhausted and government ran out of sufficient stock of metal to support stable coin in silver. Constantine Constantine founded the new monetary system of gold, and there were vast amount of these in circulation. So gold coins were founded by the ruler or emperor Constantine. Constantine chief's innovations were in the monetary sphere, where he introduced a new denomination, the solidus. Solidus, a coin of 4.5 gram of pure gold that would in fact outlast the Roman Empire itself. Solidi were minted on a very large scale and their circulation ran into millions. These are such a gold coins, 4.5 gram. The other area of innovation was the creation of second capital at Constantinople. So, second capital declared by whom? Constantine. And name of this capital? Constantinople. At the site of modern Istanbul in Turkey, the Byzantium surrounded three sides by the sea. This is the second capital of the Roman Empire and named as Constantinople. In the West, the empire fragmented politically as Germanic groups from the north. Who were these? Goth, Vandals, Lombards, etc. took over all major provinces and established kingdoms that are best described as post Roman kingdoms. By the early 7th century, the war between Eastern Rome and Iran had flared up again, and the Sasanian, who had ruled Iran since the 3rd century, launched wholesale invasion of all the major eastern province including Egypt. So that's all for today. The chapter is over. Now I'll share in next class the PDF of question answer. Thank you. Have a nice day.